All right, Dolphin fans. So, the draft is upon us, and last night, while my Panthers were taking a 3-0 series lead on the Lightning, Dolphins had their draft. We stayed up streaming after the Panther game to see who the Dolphins picked first, and they take Chop Robinson, 6'3", 254-pound edge rusher from Penn State. Now, the good news is that, by all accounts, he's an elite athlete, super fast. I think it was a 4.48. I think he was the second fastest edge rusher at the combine. Um, Been a little bit of comparison to like a Micah Parsons, but not quite Micah Parsons. We'll put it that way, okay? Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. I like him. Now we have Chubb and we have Chop. So I guess that's appropriate on a team that regularly chokes. Yeah, it's off season, all right. It's I don't know what else to tell you. So I like the pick. Certainly nothing that you could point at and say they screwed it up. Um, it doesn't matter what year, what pick, what round. You could always say we could use offensive line help. That's just permanent around here. And we already know Greer invested in, earlier in the draft and a few years ago, he invested a lot in the offensive line. It really hasn't gone there again. Eichenberg is kind of worked out-ish. Jackson, it did pay off for us, keeping him around and sticking with him. The only issue I really have with the pick, it's not really that it's the player at all. It has nothing to do with the player. It's unfortunate when we are picking a position to where, how can I put this? We lost so much on the defensive line. We lost Van Ginkel, we lost Wilkins, all right? And the fact that Chubb and Phillips are going to be coming back and we don't know exactly, their status in terms of how their ability is going to look. Taking Chop, while it's kind of a need, unfortunately, it is a need that fills a hole that we just created or just was created. So while he may long-term be a good player for us and be an answer, it's not necessarily somebody you point to and say, okay, now we've improved the defense, because I think at best you could kind of look at it as a wash a little bit, where we lost some and we gained some. Now, I know Dolphins, signed some other guys, Shaq Barrett. We still haven't replaced Wilkins. I know Zach Sealer, they're touting Zach Sealer's stats and everything from last year, but how much of that was because he was next to Wilkins the whole time? We're not going to know the answers to that until season starts. But in terms of taking the spot that we were in, mixed reviews in terms of taking him at 21. I heard a couple commentators thinking that we might have been able to trade back and get an extra pick and take him later on in the first or maybe early in the second. And I've seen somebody else had mocked them with the Dolphins trading up, I believe it was, to get him. So when you got varying opinions like that, I think you just can call it a good, solid B plus pick. If he can turn into Micah Parsons, obviously, then you're going to be looking at an A grade. But when you take this pick into combination with the moves of all the guys that we lost in the defensive end during the offseason, it's not something that's going to immediately improve us from where we were last year. It will improve us from where we were after we lost everybody. Okay. But, new system, new coordinator, right? We don't know Chubb. We don't know Phillips. Linebacker situation is still, Robinson's more of an edge guy. So, you're still looking at, is he going to fulfill the role that Van Ginkel did, where he kind of, rotated all over the place? Or is he just going to be a hand in the ground type of edge rusher? By all accounts, it's his technique that needs work. Not too bad, but his physical skills basically are off the charts, but he's really, really raw, and his technique needs work. And that's going to be the difference between being a great college player and being an NFL player, is technique. All these guys are fast and big and strong and all of that. It's technique that makes these guys into who they are. So that's going to be up to the Dolphins coaching staff. The only other thing that really happened that interests almost everybody at this point is what the Falcons did, obviously, with giving Kirk Cousins $100 million and then drafting Penix. And I can only laugh because as the Panther guy with the Panthers, I already know this music where, we drafted Spencer Knight, who was, by all accounts, future number one goaltender, and gave Bobrovsky a 7 year, I think it was 7 years, 7 or 8 years at $10 million deal. So Bobrovsky's on an unmovable deal, and then Spencer Knight, that's a whole nother story. But with Cousins and Penix, you gave him 4 years at 25 per, right? You gave him $100 million. So if you got Cousins for a couple of years, Penix comes in the third year, starts. Cousins is on a movable deal if you're willing to eat some of that contract. It's $25 million. That's not expensive for a quarterback. So if you could move on from him and eat half, and the team acquiring Cousins was going to take half, that's a movable deal. So I get how everybody's making such a big deal out of it because it is kind of comical. Apparently, they did not even discuss it with Cousins that, when a free agent guy signs with a team, he wants to know, hey, you're paying me $100 million. I'm going to assume that you want me to be the number one guy. And then they draft a kid. They immediately draft his replacement. So there's a little bit of chaos there. But in terms of the Dolphins, we're just going to have to see the way the rest of the draft goes. But in terms of the first pick, they did good. All right. The offensive line is always going to be a work in progress. Greer is who he is in terms of drafting those guys. So, but in terms of Chop, now we got Chop and Chubb. We're good. What if we have? I'm gonna make myself choke. There will be times when we can sit there and call the game, and we'll be able to say Chop and Chubb on the line, and that's just got all sorts of fun written all over it. All right, Dolphin fans, apologize for lack of content. As you guys know, I run a hockey channel. It's the hockey playoffs, and my dog passed, so it's been tough getting back into doing all of the channels that I run. There's not a lot going on with football anyway right now. Obviously, the draft, yes, but I'm not one of those that's going to analyze every single thing that we do ad nauseum. There's plenty of Dolphin creators that do that. I'm too old for that. I'm too jaded for it, right? There's too many decades of analyzing every move that the Dolphins made, and it didn't matter. It just doesn't. We're gonna go 1-5 in December and January. Doesn't matter how good we are, how bad we are. We're gonna lose 4 of our last 5 games. So it's tough to analyze everything we do over the summer until they prove me wrong, right? Until they prove you wrong, we'll see how it goes. All right, Dolphin fans, we'll see you again soon.